with the pump fake and one dribble inside to the long two, and he makes it. That's been his game his whole career. But look at him smiling. We go, my bad. The long two.
Welcome to another episode of The Long Two. I am Pete Rogers. He is Natty Wallach. And we are Carmelo's Stanthony podcast and occasionally talk fantasy basketball. Natty, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing super well this week. Thank you for asking. It feels fucking great. How are you doing?
Oh, man. I can only assume that all of this hype is coming from the fact that the Brooklyn Nets now have 3 of the top 10 players in the NBA on their team. And then they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, I don't feel good about any of that. I'm indifferent. But other good stuff happened this week, and it's a big relief.
Yes. It's kind of nice when you are when the country is back run in the hands of competent people.
I mean, from your lips to God's ears, cross our fingers and not jinx ourselves.
Yeah. Fuck. It's amazing. It's amazing how much better I feel from a day-to-day basis. How much my mood has improved. Yeah,
it is like being able to sleep for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hinted at this last week when we dropped our emergency James Harden trade podcast, but we've got a new structure for the show for this week and moving forward. We're going to see how we like it, see what you guys think. And we're going to start first things first on this list of new things to do. Biggest takeaways from the week prior. We share one thing that we loved and hated from the previous week. Natty, what did you love from this past week?
I loved the Cleveland Cavaliers defeating the the Brooklyn Nets. Speaking of Brooklyn, Collin Sexton, it's pretty good. Ooh. He seems like an okay basketball player.
Seems pretty decent.
In 9 games, he's averaging 27 points per game, which I've heard is good. On 53% shooting, though, so that's gonna come down. But he has a 62 true shooting percentage so far. I mean, obviously it's not even 10 games, but he's been doing well. He looks great. He's 22 years old, and he outplayed Kyrie.
Kyrie, KD, and Harden.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They all had great games, all 3 Nets. Harden had a triple-double.
Collin Sexton shut down all 3 of them. None of them scored double digits.
Anything. I totally disagree with that. He outplayed. He didn't shut them down. Like, he won that game. Chidi Osman had a good game. Larry Nance, everyone contributed. But fourth quarter through both overtimes, Sexton won that game.
Oh, yeah. Yes, 100%. And we will not to give away too much, but we'll talk about him later. I have him for another segment later in the show. But yes, we have seen the Collin Sexton show in the past. Sometimes it's not great, like when Kevin Love angrily threw up his arms in frustration and stormed off the court because Sexton was dribbling the ball too long and wasn't passing. But when you're the only offensive option going up against 3 of the best 10 players in the NBA, it's pretty good when you can just put up numbers and go toe to toe with these guys and carry the Cavs in double overtime to beat this team. Obviously it's going to still take some figuring out. We saw the Harden Durant duo was phenomenal for the Nets. And then with adding Kyrie in his first game back, still takes some time to figure out what all the lineups and matchups are for this Nets team. But that was a hell of a win for Sexton and the Cavs.
And it's interesting how their front court for Cleveland is arranging itself. I mean, this is just a handful of games, even less. So we're going to see. But very few players can do what Sexton has done at his age. So this seems for real. It's not, he's not hiding behind any numbers. Yeah, the Cavs have been shorthanded. So is everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really I think Sexton is the pick that Boston traded to Cleveland for Kyrie, right?
Oh,
I
you might be
think
right. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. So it's like that game was really kind of interesting because it tied in with so much of recent
Yeah.
NBA history. Like the Cavs kept that pick because they as insurance for in case LeBron left. Boston really didn't get anything out of that trade because Kyrie left, and they had held on to that pick like it was solid gold. Like that was the crown jewel. That's why the Kyrie trade happened, because Cleveland was like, okay, well, if we get that pick. When Darius Garland comes back, like we're gonna see, or when he's healthy, rather, we're gonna see what a full Jarrett Allen defense
And
like
Larry Nance
focus with
low-key
those guards is
leading
going to
the
look.
league in
Dude,
steals this
totally.
year.
He
Like,
looks great.
hello.
I think that some team should trade for him like real hard.
Yes.
Like maybe Brooklyn, because he
God,
has a manageable salary.
Yeah, wouldn't that be just more moves for the Nets and the Cavs? You think that they would have just included that for Jared Allen if only they had that player to make a swap for?
It's crazy.
I'm going to take off the stethoscope, and my favorite thing from this week, Natty, a healthy Kemba Walker. And I feel like all the NBA can agree with me, because a healthy Kemba Walker it's just a better NBA. His smile on the court it's just better for everyone. He's had 2 games. He's been on a 20-minute restriction, which Brad has stuck him to with ferocity. Still 14 points, 5 assists, 1.5 steals. I love seeing him do his patented, like, come right off the pick and pop a 3 with still the 3 defenders in his face, but being able to drain it. He looks happy. He looks healthy. And that just brings me so much joy, especially as Tatum is recovering from COVID. It's wonderful to see Kemba Walker come back onto the court and look just as good as he did prior. I mean, he looks healthier than he did during the bubble, which is phenomenal, which is great to see as a NBA fan, but particularly as a Celtics fan. You love to see that.
And here's hoping that they keep it up with the minutes restriction. We just saw Tyler Hero get neck spasms because he had to play so much for the Miami Heat because of so many players out for them. Right. And, it's so, you don't want to compound absences by playing your players into the ground. So I think we're going to have to get even deeper on these rosters, because you can't ask these players to play 38 minutes, 3 games in a row, especially in back-to-backs. Like, it's just someone's going to get hurt. We're seeing it already. So keeping Kemba at 20 minutes max and maybe not playing in back-to-backs, I think is a really, really good idea.
Yeah, I think it will probably be the Celtics play the Sixers again on Friday when you're listening to this today.
More Marcus Smart versus Joel Embiid.
Oh, yes. My
Who flails hardest?
Oh my goodness. That game, man. Let's talk about Marcus going for 20 plus and was trying to win that game single-handedly. But anyways, I'm sure we'll see Kemba again on 20 minutes restriction for that game. And I agree with you. Where it's something where it's like, give him a couple weeks to get his conditioning back, to get healthy, to get fully in a date. And the other thing is it's like, with the way that Jalen is playing and the way that Jason is, like, you don't need Kemba to like put up, 28 minutes a game or even 33 minutes a game. If he can play 25 minutes a game and play and not play back-to-backs, and like, that would just be incredible, and have him ready to go for a playoff stretch, I would be a huge fan of that. Speaking of injuries, I'll go into what I hated from this week. And it's not just because I am a manager of this player. It's also just because we talked so highly. We were so excited for Caris LeVert to go to Indiana and like be the offensive, running mate with Domantas Sabonis, and just what that team was going to be. And then during his physical, they found out that he had a mass in his kidney and now needs surgery. And it's likely going to end his season. I know it's like, I think right now they're going to reevaluate in 6 to 8 weeks. But I mean, I'm happy that they found it and that it's getting taken care of, because that shit is terrifying and dangerous, and, your health above all. But But man, it sucks that it happened to him. It sucks that it happened, right as he's about to, have his own team, start for a team, be the offensive focal point, or a vital part of the offense for a team. So that was the biggest thing from this week that I was super bummer. Hated it.
It's awesome that it was found, and
Yes.
it sucks that it was found. This is very bittersweet, as you say. LeVert, it was just going to be fun to watch this team, and who knows what's going to happen with the second half of the season and what the schedule is actually going to be. So maybe he could come back. I have no idea what the recovery for something like this is, but the important thing is that they found it, and he will hopefully be fully healthy in the not too distant future and fully recover. The Pacers are 5-5 in their last 10 games, and they could use a player like Victor Oladipo or Caris LeVert. So we're going to see what they can do without two sensational wings, because TJ Warren is still out. This is going to be next man up, but that's this season, man. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Like if LeVert was out for another reason, they would still have to do the same thing. So this is, people have been talking about expanding rosters, and I think that might have to come into play if they're really going to muscle through the season. So in a season dominated by health, I think we can all agree that this is a good thing. And it's, disappointing, but we also get to see the Pacers respond to an absence, just like every other team has to respond to an absence.
And the nice thing too is that like Caris LeVert is not on a 1-year deal. Like he is signed for, I think he's a 3 or 4 year. The Pacers know what they got in him. They know what they're like. He is going to come back whenever healthy with a role, a defined, clear role. This isn't something where it's like, a player who's breaking out and is fighting for that long-term deal and may or may not have a role on a team and then gets injured and loses that spot potentially. It's like Caris LeVert, what Caris LeVert is. We just wanted to see him thrive in his own offense and be getting starting minutes, but that will come. And when it comes, it'll be great. And it's much better for that to come and be great when he doesn't have a potential, a cancerous mass on his kidney. So
and it's not like it's his knee or his foot or a hip, he's not injured. They found a tumor and they're going to remove it, and hopefully he'll come back exactly the same. So, and who knows, like maybe time off will help for a guy who's had some injury history. So it's sad, but it's like these days you're just so grateful when someone can be stopped from being ill.
Yes.
So right on. Thank you, doctors. God bless physicals.
Amen. What'd you hate from this week?
Well, mine is extremely similar. I'm just so fucking sad for the Portland Trailblazers, Pete.
Dude.
I'm so upset. CJ McCollum was having a sensational year. Just absolute 110% sexual play from this guy. Yusuf Nurkic is out. Fucking Zach Collins is out. Like all of a sudden they have no front court at all, aside from Enes Kanter, who constantly finds himself in these situations.
First of all, love it for Enes Kanter that he goes from the Celtics back to Portland and then is now suddenly like a starring focal feature of that team. Good for him.
While COVID's going on, while there's a global pandemic, while his family is like trapped back home, and he's automatic. It's a double-double. If you give him 22 minutes, he will give you 10 rebounds and 10 points.
He will get it done. But you have to think like Portland, this isn't the first time. The CJ McCollum injury fucking blows. And my fantasy team also agrees with that. But
sure.
Their backcourt, their front court, like Nurkic and Collins missed a ton of time last year too with injuries. Yeah. Like this has to be the Trailblazers like top priority heading into this offseason, like this next year. I mean, maybe they're going to make trades. Like I'm all for that during this season, but this offseason, man, if it's not addressed, like you have to get players into that building who can stay healthy, or at the very least players in that position where you're like, okay, I'm going to assume between Zach Collins and Nurkic, we're going to get whatever, if it's an 82 game season, again, we're going to get 40 games combined out of those two guys, or maybe 60 games combined out of those two guys. Like we need another high caliber starting big man who can play, who we feel comfortable playing 60 games, 70 games, 80, like whatever it might be. Like this is something that's 2 years in a row that this has happened, that their front court has been just decimated by injury, and they have to be able to address it this year.
My man, it is the Portland Trailblazers history.
Oh,
they are
it's
always snake bit. Brandon Roy, man, fucking
oh my
like
God.
Even to draft picks. Like, but here's the thing: they're always good.
Mm-hmm.
They're still always fucking good.
If you have Dame Lillard, you're fucking good.
But even before that, LMA, they're.
Yep.
I can't really remember a stretch of time where it was like 4 or 5 years where Portland sucked, like
right.
they constantly have quality rosters, but something goes awry. And with this front court, I mean, if I was the G, I'd be like, all right, Nurk, we love you, but fuck this.
Yeah.
And like, yo, go get Larry Nance. I don't know if the money can work, but maybe you can get Drummond, like get dudes that play 82 games. I mean, there's shit who's out there. If the Wizards continue to suck, maybe Robin Lopez.
I don't hate Drum.
Yeah, I don't know if the money would work, but
I have no idea. No, I probably wouldn't, but like I don't hate that. That is a fit where it's like, okay, I feel like you can put an old school traditional center there because so much of CJ McCollum and so much of Dame Lillard's game is outside anyways. You're not like necessarily hindering this offense by putting a big man in the middle of this team, as opposed to like for some offenses, right? Like Drummond would make absolutely zero sense in like Dallas, right? I feel like that he would cripple so much of what Luka's game is, whereas I think he would work well with Lillard, or at least he would work with Lillard and CJ McCollum when he's healthy. So anyways, I like that. That's a low-key nice little move right there for them if they were to make that.
I mean, Drum's not going to be in the future of Cleveland, so you might as well trade him. But I mean, I don't know if the money would work. Probably wouldn't. But like Vooch in Portland would be. I'm all over Vucevic this episode. By the way, he's like all of my things.
Good. Good. A Vooch centric episode. I mean, how do you say no to that?
Right. Exactly, dude. And it's just in a time where bigs were fungible, and now you sort of need to have one because if you're going to be serious, you have to play the Lakers and you have to play the Sixers. And like, you can't find any. The whole thing is bizarre. Horford's out there if he's healthy. I mean, there's bigs out there that you can go get.
Yeah.
Would Julius Randle make sense on this? Like he's not a center, but like he's a big forward, but it's like they're gonna really have to, like PJ Tucker, they're gonna have to get creative, I think, because they're constrained by the money.
God, it would be the most PJ Tucker thing in the world, though, to get traded to Portland to play the exact role that he played for the Rockets last year, which just put your body on the line and get smacked by 7-footers,
and then maybe get paid next year.
And then maybe get paid. Also, my fantasy team hates the fact that Fred VanVleet is shot 29% from the field last week.
Toronto looks bad. They just do.
Trash.
Let's say it. They look bad.
Like absolutely trash, except for OG. I wrote an article on Fake Teams about OG.
Whew.
OG, top 10 fantasy player this last week because the man gets you fucking defense.
Dude, he looks so good. Yeah, I mean,
73% rostered in ESPN.
He's playing better than Pascal. It's amazing.
100%.
And FVV. So, but if that team, I mean, okay, right now the Raptors are 5-9. The 8th seed is 7-8. Like this is.
I mean, I'm sure they will
totally fine. They'll go on a win streak. They'll
Pascal will get his shit together and it'll be fine. All right, let's move on. Now's the time for the John Vesley, because I love butchering that name. Jan Vesley Usually favorite stat line of the week, named in honor of Wizards great Jan Vesely, who
Great.
back in 2013
Historic Wizards player.
posted the stat line of 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 fouls in 8 minutes, because that is truly elite play. Plus, the man knows how to lay a kiss on a partner. We talked about him at the start of the show. My stat line of the week is Collin Sexton going 42, 5-5 and out-dueling the entire Nets team in double overtime. But the craziest thing about it is the stat line doesn't even do it justice. 20 straight points in both overtimes. Like, the man literally was just put the team on my back. I'm going toe-to-toe with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and we're winning this game in double overtime. So my Jan Vesely favorite stat line of the week goes to Collin Sexton for Wednesday's performance. It
was like young LeBron, Cleveland won, defeating the Pistons all by himself in OT. It was awesome to watch, but I was like getting triggered a little bit.
Wasn't giving you the best flashbacks.
My stat line of the week is also against the Nets, and we've also spoken about him, Vooch. So the first game with KD and Harden, 36 minutes for Vooch. The first game the Magic played against the new Nets without Kyrie, though.
Yep.
Vooch played 36 minutes. He had 34 points, 10 rebounds, 7 dimes, 5 steals, and went 6 for 12 from 3. He's a Nets killer. Like, he plays them really, really well. He's played them like through 28 games against the Nets. He's 18, 10, and 3, shooting 51% from the floor and nearly 40% from 3.
Oh my God, I'm making a stank face right now. Those numbers are arousing.
And like, he's top 10 on the player rater in ESPN right now, on a team that is trending down. Orlando is tied with the Knicks at 7 and 8, but they're in the 9th seed. He was drafted number 25 on average overall. Vooch was. He's just a damn good fucking player on a team that doesn't really get its offense very well. And they have injuries. Jonathan Isaac isn't there. Fultz isn't there. He seems like a big trade target to me. He's also not old. He's maybe playing the best basketball of his career. I love watching him. I just think he's really, really good. And it's sort of the curse of the big man in the Magic uniform, just like Shaq did. Like, people know who you are, but you're not getting a lot of national games. So,
and that's like, do people even know how good he is? Like, I just don't think so. I mean, the man is averaging 23, 10, and 3 assists a game. Like, I just think that he is not getting quite, because he's on the Magic, because the Magic had that little hot stretch, but that hot start was like Terrence Ross, Markelle Fultz, like those were the guys that were leading that hot stretch. So Vooch was, again, pushed kind of in the, Vooch is just, I feel like on a championship contending team, this man would be I feel like the discussion would be like him, Jokic, and Joel, I guess, for best, like, who's the best big to build around? Who is the perfect big for today's NBA? Like, this guy, 42% from 3 he's shooting this season, while taking
he's the Magic's best shooter for sure.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This guy, I mean, he's way too good to just be spending the rest of his career in Orlando. Yes, I totally agree with you. We've been long pushing to get Aaron Gordon out of Orlando.
Blow it up.
Let's get Vooch out of there 100%. You have Markelle Fultz. You've seen what he's done. He's out for the year. That blows. Cole Anthony's doing some shit. That's great.
He looks great. He won that game together. Yeah.
Get a fuck ton of picks. Completely tank and rebuild. Like, trash this season. Trade Vooch to a team that's going to need him, appreciate him, and give him the spotlight that he deserves.
I mean, Vooch on the Clippers, like. Portland, obviously, we said that already. He would look good anywhere because he is good, and I think that like Vooch fantasy players know who he is.
Explode my mind. Like, I don't know if I could comprehend or handle Vooch in Portland.
But again, like, the money isn't negligible, so to figure this out, it might even involve a third team. But I think that the Magic, if they keep it going and they're like barely on the playoffs,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my money, so I can't really spend it for them. But I would be like, yo, T-Sizzle, Fournier, Vooch, Aaron Gordon, you're all out of here. We're just tearing it down. This is a good draft class coming up. We're going to try to get a bunch of
That's
top
another
10
thing,
picks
too.
if
You're
we can.
totally right. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
this is
great,
supposed to be a
great
deep, yeah.
It's a great deep class. Like, get all the picks you can.
Dude, and double draft is when? Like 2 years from now? So, like, the upcoming drafts are going to be very interesting. Here's the thing. There's just, like, no real way to see, unless the Magic made a trade to upgrade, which I suppose isn't outside the
But
realm.
why-
If they were,
I
I know
guess
why, but because they want to make the playoffs.
Sure. But like, I guess my thought would be, it's like you have your two best young players are injured in Fultz and Isaac. Just start the rebuild. I know that's not a sexy thing for fans, but I feel like fans would understand, especially if you were able to like get a whole treasure trove of picks back for Vooch, or like get young players that maybe can whatever it might be, like blow it up, but partially for your own sake, Orlando, but also for our sake, because we want to see Vooch on a team that actually I want to see. Now, I am now making my life's goal to get Vooch onto the Portland Trailblazers, because I have a lot of say and sway in the NBA. So many rhymes, it's true.
I just can't stand the fact that like really good players don't get any respect depending on the context and status of their team, because you can just see like toiling away, and like you bring it every night though, like you're a really good player and you play good basketball, you play fun basketball.
Yep.
Like he's fun to watch.
Yeah,
and I
great.
just don't
He deserves better.
The perfect team for him, I'm not really sure which one that would be, but
it's out there and we will find it for him.
Yeah, hopefully.
We'll add, since we're changing the show, we're gonna add a new segment, which is free Vooch, and every week we'll find a different team for Vooch to go to, and what trade could possibly happen to make it all work. All right, before we move on, we're going to take a quick ad break, so don't turn it off. All right, we are back. Let's turn our attention now to next week. Nice little, talked about last week before ad break. We're talking about next week now. Let's start, Natty. Let's talk our favorite waiver ads. A guy who I love, you should be targeting on waivers. Also, we're kind of becoming a Cavaliers podcast. I don't know how this happened, but we are all.
Let's stop it right now. Then let's just take it back. Talk about someone else.
Last time we were talking about the Cavs for the rest of the year. Sorry, Cavs fans. CD Osman. You especially have been long on CD Osman. He's averaging 14, 4, and 4. He's back-to-back 25-point games. He started the last 7 games for the Cavs, and in that span, he's averaging 15.7 points, 4.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, and 1.2 stocks on 37 minutes. He's out there available. I think he's available in less than 40% of ESPN leagues. He's going to get you points. He's going to get you boards. He's going to have the occasional big outing. Like, we have seen this Cavaliers team, especially with Garland out, they need another scorer alongside Sexton. Osman has been that guy the last few days. I think that you can't do much worse than adding him onto your squad, especially given that the offense that he's going to provide in starting minutes.
He's like maybe turning into a solid dude.
Yeah.
He's 25 after several years of being literally the only fucking small forward on Cleveland.
This is the
and
only
I'm
reason
not
that
kidding.
Natty has been following CD Osman's career is simply because he can't fathom the fact that the Cavaliers have had one small forward on their roster for the last decade.
It's like sometimes, like positions go out for drinks and it's like, oh, let's get all the fucking guards. And he's just standing there like, there's nobody. I'm in Cleveland alone.
There's no
and
one
we
here
suck
beside me.
However, let me also point this out. He has pretty good players to either side of him now. Like there are actual quality centers on the team. There are actual quality guards. And I think that's really made things easier for him. And it's nice to see that he's improved and he's not just going to be some washout that got ruined by a terrible Cavs team. I am hoping that it continues, and I think the combo of him and Okoro like is maybe a smart thing to keep, depending on any money for Osman. So I've really liked it. The Cavs are kind of fun to watch, which fucking sucks. It's so terrible, dude. God damn it, because Detroit's so bad. But yeah, Cleveland, their young players are playing well. And what are they right now? They're 7-7. They're in the 6th seed in the East. It's like, why can't it continue? You know?
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think what you said too about how he's got good players around him. I mean, he's averaging almost 5.5 assists per game since he's been starting. Like that could keep, especially since Sexton doesn't love passing the basketball.
Yeah.
Or the football. I mean, he does play. I feel like if he passed the football, he would play football. But anyways, doesn't love passing the basketball. So there are like assists to be had in this offense. And so far it seems like CD has been getting the majority of them. And so that can continue. Like if he reliably can get you 16 and 6, you love that. You love that from a fantasy standpoint.
For sure. Especially how little you paid for him in fantasy. Go get some points and dimes for free, guys. It's okay.
We allow you to do this. You have our permission.
My ad of the week is a guy we also like to talk about. One Mr. Norman Powell on those shitty fucking Raptors. He had a tough start to the season. He sure did. He's under 10% owned. However, the last 2 weeks, he is a top 100 player over the past 10 games. So in the January portion of this season, he's played 10 games. He's averaging 13 points per game, 2+ boards. He's shooting threes 5 times a game at least and hitting them at a 44% ratio. There are 9 players that are equaling or besting those numbers in the NBA this year. They are Kevin Durant, CJ McCollum, damn it, PG-13, Paul George, who's had some fucking monster games.
Yeah, he has.
Terry Rozier, Darius Garland, Seth Curry, Duncan, Go Blue Robinson, Mikal Bridges, not bad, Phoenix, and Brooklyn Joe Harris. That's not bad. That's not a bad list to be on. Norm's playing like a super versatile and valuable wing who can score. And that's what he was last year. So he's basically free. He's under 10% owned. Go pick him up. He's coming off the bench, but like, who the fuck knows with all of this? Like everyone's going to start, So anyone who's like shooting like Joe Harris is, I feel like you should pick up. Basically, not to be Brooklyn centric about this, but he's a sniper.
Feels like a pretty good sign.
Norm's young and he's done this before. And, who knows if Toronto's out of it, Masai Ujiri might be like, cool, see everybody later. And Norm might be one of the guys that either stays and gets more minutes or gets traded to a team where his role increases.
Masai Ujiri has also been just like chomping at the bit to do a Raptors rebuild. Like the man is been waiting to blow it all up.
He's too good at like talent.
I know
and
this team has just been too good for him to do it. So the fact that they're like 5-9, he might just be like, fuck it, we're going in. Pascal Siakam, dude, you're out of here.
I bet you my bottom dollar that when like Sam Presti and OKC and what's his face, the new guy in Houston, were like making their trades, Masai was like, he just had to sit down and like fantasize about what he would do in those situations. It's like, man, I would have gotten this other one.
You ready for me to bust out some topical memes?
I'm always. Is your stethoscope on or off? That's a hard word to say.
My stethoscope is on. Topical meme. Masai Ujiri, the Bernie Sanders of the inauguration.
Nice.
Thank you.
It's like he's glad to be there and he's powerful, but God fucking damn it.
But it's cold and I'm really annoyed.
Right. And for a second there, I might have been president.
And maybe we could have won a chip again, but without Kawhi, but no.
Dude, but old man respect, anyone who wears mittens but not a hat, like that's a real dude. That's an actual gentleman right there. Yeah, I know it's cold. Also, I'm 80 trillion years old. I don't fucking need to wear a hat. I will wear these big mittens, though.
Oh, my God. That meme has brought me so much joy in the last 24 hours.
It's been fantastic.
It's
yeah,
great.
the internet's so funny. Good job, everybody.
They know what they're doing there. All right, it's time for studs and duds, which both Natty and I pick one player who we think will perform above average in fantasy this coming week and one who will underperform. I will start us off. My stud for this coming week, Victor Oladipo of the Houston Rockets. He has already been balling out. 20 plus shot attempts, 22 plus points in his first 2 games with the Rockets. So you love to see that. You love to see that the offense is
take all of them. You and Christian Wood. Do whatever you want.
Do what you want. And the Rockets play the Wizards, Trailblazers, and Pelicans next week, which is particularly spicy since the Blazers and Pelicans are giving up top 10 DFS points to guards this year. So Oladipo, I think, has some 30-plus point performances rattling around in his trousers next week.
Well, then he should see a doctor. I'm not sure you should have rattling in your trousers.
You don't want anything rattling in your trousers?
Maybe you shouldn't. I've just been doing it wrong the whole time. That could explain a lot, actually.
That could fix so much.
So you rattle. Oh, weird.
Interesting.
Okay. I love that pick, though. Also because it's fun to watch the Rockets learn who they are. Christian Wood, by the way, yes, bonus. Good job. Eric Gordon. 22 points, I think, in his last game. He's going to turn back into who he was, which is a very valuable player, a scorer, with maybe 2 dimes and a couple boards, who knows. But those are good guys to have on your team. He might get traded, although everyone thinks his contract is an albatross. But everyone can get traded.
Everyone
John
thinks
Wall
everyone's fucking contract. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
The whole contract is an albatross thing is completely dead with John Wall, Russell Westbrook getting traded multiple times. Well, John Wall got traded once, but yes.
All right. I am going to continue with the Vucevic, and this is why I actually dived into him to begin with, because I saw the Magic's upcoming schedule. Charlotte, Sacramento, Clippers, Toronto. Vooch might feed this week. The Clippers, who cares about their big? Toronto, who cares? Sacramento, who cares? Charlotte, who cares? I mean, I like the players on those teams. I love PJ Washington. You know that I love him. But
love him.
That's not a murderer's row. And the Magic are running out of players, and it's sort of let's just give it to our best scorer, and that's Vooch right now.
Well, and the thing too is, go ahead.
And also, Sacramento has been giving up more points than if you just had a team of 5 me's. If there were just 5 little me's on the Kings, we'd play better defense than they have so far. They are by far the worst defensive team in the NBA. And I don't see why that should fucking change against Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah.
Vucevic,
the Clippers have been pretty good against bigs in terms of DFS points. But I think the thing that you have working in your favor there is just that who else in the Magic is going to carry this offense? And, the Clippers are going to put points on them. And so someone has to kind of do the dirty work and get the points. But even if he has a bad game against the Clippers, the Charlotte, Sacramento, Toronto, the fact that those 3 games sandwich his possibly one tough-ish game, you love it. You absolutely love it. And I only make this clarification about the Clippers because my dud this week plays the Clippers. So I need to sell the fact that the Clippers actually have a good defense.
Well, here's the thing. Anytime you have Paul George and Kawhi, you're going to be playing really good defense.
Julius Randle goes up against Rudy Gobert in the Jazz, Drummond in the Cavs, and Serge Ibaka in the Clips this week.
Maybe Jared Allen in the Cavs.
Jared Allen in the Cavs as well, unless Drummond gets traded in the next 24, 48 hours. Which you never know, man. The fact that who knows? This NBA season's absolutely fucking insane, and I am 100%.
It's just cocaine sports. It's amazing.
So Julius Randle, I am tempering my expectations this week. I think he's going to underperform for you in terms of DFS and fantasy.
Remind me of the Knicks schedule this coming week. I forget.
They play, let me look. I just had it up. The Knicks play Utah on Tuesday, Cleveland on Friday, and then Clippers on Sunday.
Right. You said that. Sorry. Yeah, man, the Knicks.
3 tough games.
I want to make all these trades for the Knicks, but I also sort of feel maybe you should just not do anything And
I
like
think they should
that's
just stay pat and see what happens.
right. Totally. Keep your powder dry. Like, don't make any rash decisions. If if a cool trade falls into your lap, then sure. But yeah, maybe just chill. And it's a nice relief for people that watch Knicks games. My dud also plays Utah this week. I think that's probably going to be a theme this season. Who's playing Utah? My dude's playing Utah twice, Pete.
Ooh!
Yeah, twice.
Not great.
Here's the rest of the schedule. It's Denver, Utah, Phoenix. Those are three teams who have actual bigs.
Yeah.
One of them, Joker, isn't a good defender, but he's playing like an MVP. Utah, Rudy Gobert is a continual defensive player of the year candidate, and DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix is doing really, really well. My dud is the unicorn.
You hate to say it, but I think you're right.
Porzingis in his career averages 19-8-2 against Denver, 19-5-1 against Utah, 18-6-1 against Phoenix. Now it's not like he has a 12-year career, but those are sub-average. So Kristaps is just maybe not going to have a spectacular week. He'll still be solid. I'm not saying, don't play him, but this is going to be a tough week for him, I think. So he's my dud.
Yeah. No, that's a fair one. And it's a nice segue too, man. We are just crushing these segues because finally, to wrap us up, we're going to talk one thing we're looking forward to this coming week. And I am really looking forward to the Denver Mavericks game.
Yes.
Because I can't get it. Both Luka and Jokic and Joker have like reached not even quite their pinnacle, but they are playing at such high levels and they're doing such amazing things on the court that the two of them going up against each other and their teams, subsequent teams around them. I am just very excited to watch that game. I'm excited to see what those two guys do in particular against each other in a battle of the Europeans. So that is something that I am very much looking forward to this weekend or this coming week.
I am looking forward, and it's bittersweet, to the maestro, Dame Lillard. He is playing OKC, Houston, and Chicago this week. None of those teams are good at defense. Dame might go off. We might get a run of like 50-point games. There's reason to believe that he can be an MVP candidate. So like, why not start playing like one and just drag your injured team into the playoffs? So I'm going to be watching the Blazers this week, obviously for, my boyfriend Cantor, just to see what he does. But that's, I think Dame's going to have to play out of his mind for a little bit. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think we could get something like to start the year when Bradley Beal was just like scoring 40 with ease and was averaging, 40 a game for a week span. And everyone's like, oh my God, is this the new Bradley Beal? I think we could get something where Dame is, casually dropping 50 a game and everyone's like, Dame is taking mortal offense by the snake bit curse that has been laid upon his franchise and we'll play this team out of it.
And this is a year, like, who knows who the MVP is going to be? It's probably not going to be Giannis. Like, LeBron maybe doesn't give a shit. So it could be wide open. I think people were talking about Luka to begin the year, but why not Dame? I mean,
why not?
If he gets this team to a high seed, he should be in consideration at least.
Yeah. My Jason Tatum for MVP stock took a mild hit once he got COVID, but before then, instead I've changed, Natty. I'm now firmly on the Jaylen Brown is a all NBA player.
He looks so fucking good.
So fucking good.
It is delicious how he's playing right now. And that tandem, those two are, I mean, they might retire together, like it's,
God, I hope
that's
so.
how
God,
good that combo seems. I just wanted to say, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that combo should never be broken up. Last word, Natty. Hit
totally. All right. I forgot to mention this earlier. In the 3 games since the Harden trade, the Nets have been giving up quite a few points. Their defensive rating would be the second worst on the year. Only Sacramento's worse. But like that is cause for concern. when your defense is that bad, then it's really hard to believe that you'll be able to make the finals, let alone win the finals. So, and DeAndre is playing more minutes. By the way, he's under 50% owned. Go get DJ if he's available.
Go add DJ.
They have to play him. It's a necessity.
Until they trade for Larry Nance Jr.
Totally. Until then, just ride DJ. I have picked him up everywhere I possibly can. It's like the safest minutes in fantasy basketball right now, I think. Even more than Kevin Durant, because it's like, well, if Durant sits, well, who cares? We still don't have a center. I don't know who the fuck these other guys are.
DeAndre Jordan. I'm sorry. Before we go,
he played 38 minutes the other night.
I have to say, I understand that you needed a piece to move, but the fact that the Nets were like, we are going to part with Jared Allen and put make DeAndre Jordan play 40 minutes a game is not great.
If you let you can't let Jared Allen be the guy that stops you from acquiring.
No, of course not.
But totally agree with you, by the way. Like, that's fucking crazy. And also, Brooklyn Joe's coming off the bench now. Like, this team, I think, is going to have several permutations through the season.
Yeah.
Like, having Joe Harris there is nice, but if he's not really going to be integral to your team, then there's no fucking reason for him to be there.
100% agreed. All right. Well, with that, make sure you subscribe to the Fake Teams podcast, wherever you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. That's how you'll not only get us, but also our fantasy baseball and fantasy football podcasts. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at The Long Two Podcast. We love to engage. So hit us up with any questions or thoughts or whatever you want to do. Natty, stay safe, my friend, and have a good week.
Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and watch some cool basketball. God bless.